I once was called upon a program, and the theme of the program between America, France, Britain, China, and Russia, who is a better devil in Africa? That was the theme of the program. All of them are devils, but there is a better devil among devils. And I think if you look at Putin's approach in Africa, Putin is a better devil. I will put it that way. He's a better devil because his negotiations with African countries is far more better than what these 1958 colonial treaties are. Those guys are very heartless. So we need a better devil. We know everybody is a devil, but we need a better devil. There are devils with 60%, there are other devils with 80%. We have 90% devil. So we prefer to manage a 30% devil than just to deal with the most wicked of all the devils. Look at Putin's approach in Mali recently with the backup they've given to Assimi Goïta. If you look at Goïta's policy recently, if those things are applied and given the chance to operate in Mali, Mali can be a first world country in the next 20 to 30 years because the resources are there and they have been suffocating because they had some colonial treaties that will not allow them exercise their right. Secondly, enjoy the resources that God had given them as a nation. If you look at Putin's approach again in Central African Republic is breeding more than when they were under the subjective colonial principles of France. So we know that Putin is not the best because Putin's primary interest in Africa, one, is to sell his arms. Putin is here to promote more war because a man that sells arms is somebody that promotes war. So we cannot play a blind eye to that because we know that Putin is a businessman who will always be there to defend the interests of Russia. But now if we put the different devils in Africa on a scale, I think Putin is a better devil. That's what I have to make you understand. And that is the reason why you see Russia has been very quiet for a very long time as far as Africa is concerned. But if you look at China's approach this time around in Africa, it is even more welcome than, Russia's approach. It is even more welcome because most of the African presidents who have gone to deal with Russia, they realize that the bargain between them and Russia is far more better. It is even at the level of 50-50. Not the one that you are in a country where some people will take 80% and give you 20%. And the 20% is for the few persons who are in power while the common man perishes. But you see, Putin will never come to Africa to come and make Africa great. They will always come to make Russia great. But now, in the course of making Russia great, he doesn't collect everything and leave her with the crumbs. That is the truth. So we are not excited that we are leaving France or Britain or America to go to Russia. We need to leave those people and become independent. That was what we're going for. But I think at the level we are right now, we do not have the economic and military stability to boycott and then stay independent. We need someone that will bargain a better deal for us to build a stronger economy, a stronger military, so that tomorrow if we are boycotting, we can boycott completely. They say once beaten, twice shy. You can't remain a slave forever. So I think Putin's approach towards the African continent is because of a level of grief that he has concerning the way the West treat African countries. It's like a kind of revenge. He's trying to come back to tell us that no, you're not supposed to be treating these guys like this. We're going to give them better deals, even though we are not the best, but I think we are better. Better than what people are trying to bring in Africa or what you established in Africa for the years past. And if you ask any African leader who is dealing with Putin right now, they don't want to say it publicly, but they can tell you with all sincerity that the deals they bargain with Putin is far more better off than what their colonial masters signed with them. It will shock you that most of the African countries are going through difficulties economically and all kinds of challenges. Those countries are countries, when left to themselves, they will do wonders. They will make maximum impact. But because there are some protocols put together, there are things in Africa we have read that we don't want to voice it on air because if we voice it on air, it will cause eruption. It's terrible. I'm telling you, countries that are not able to take care of themselves are being forced to pay bills annually. How do you explain that somebody who has is not well fed is feeding another country who is well fed? Most African countries feeding France that give the annual colonial dues every year. They don't even feed their citizens themselves. But the French people are well taken care of because Africans are feeding them. How do you explain that? So if you look at it critically, right now at the Central African presidency, you have the Russian forces that are taking care of the Central African presidency. The man has brought them right into the system. Do you know that recently there was an attack? 17 Chinese were killed in Central African Republic because the French are not comfortable with the fact that China and Russia have taken full control of Central African Republic. The killing of the Chinese miners are rebels sponsored by France to bring chaos in that country in order for China and Russia to leave the country.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm talking about? So they have not given up. Now, if you look at it critically, China also is not a good person. It's also another devil. Because they are not just coming to colonize, they are coming to buy. There's a difference between a colonizer and a buyer. A colonizer is like the Europeans who came here, colonized, established their institutions, and then they left. Those institutions are paying back in their land. China has a population that is growing. In the next 50 years, China will not have land to accommodate its people. Africa has sufficient arable land for agriculture and also space to accommodate. That's why you see China is now coming with a form of debt. Debt that if you are unable to pay it, they will claim those properties and those. So you can be surprised wanting to have a quartier or a town in Cameroon called China, which will habit Chinese citizens that China, the land of China, cannot be able to inhabit anymore because of the widespread of Chinese. There are about 700,000 Chinese in Ghana. There are about 250,000 Chinese in Cameroon. There are about 70,000 Chinese in Nigeria. There are about 160,000 Chinese in Namibia. Now, as I'm talking to you right now, these are the number of Chinese that are in Africa. And these people sell from the biggest shops right down to frying puff-puff in the street and planting tomatoes. Our agricultural sector in the country has been invaded by the Chinese because the Chinese now bring genetically controlled seeds to plant in the land. When we eat these seeds, after some year, we'll start acting like them because those seeds controls your blood, your DNA, and your faculties. You see, the plantains we cultivate this time around, you peel it, the plantain instead of being white, red, it is white inside, yet it's already matured. There are pineapples that you see the skin is very, very ripe, but when you peel it, it is sour inside. Those are genetically planted seeds in Cameroon. That's China. It's everywhere. China is at the base on the coast of Cameroon. They have nets that catch fishes that our own fishermen used to catch and throw back in the river. That is a very deadly agent entering the continent. But now if we put on a scale, we put on a balance, you will realize that Russia is a better devil to China. So when we say these people are all devils, they are devils. I'm trying to point out their disadvantages, yet their advantages also. We look at it from this perspective, we'll be able to understand that for all these guys who are coming to African continent, we would rather prefer Russia, even though we do not need any of them. Yeah. Now, African countries should be working extremely hard and taking advantage of this political display at the diplomatic level to seize their rights and take their place. To also go into partnership among themselves to disconnect from these guys. Not shifting from the hand of one tyrant to the hand of another lesser tyrant. Because no country goes out to defend the interests of others. Every country that goes out to defend their interests. If you see Chinese coming here, it's to defend China. No matter how nice Russia may put on the garment of an angel, they enter here, they are here to defend the interests of Russia. So this one should stick into the mind and the psyche of every African leader that no foreigner steps into this continent to defend the Africans. They are only here to defend their interests. Yes, now the bargain is what can even give us the opportunity to acknowledge if somebody is even better off than the other. Because if you look at it critically, practically, we are suffering here because of the kind of treaties that were signed. And the people who signed these treaties are no longer existing. Most of the presidents that signed the wicked Royal Treaty in 1950, they are no longer existing. But now we are the generation suffering. So we are now challenging the leader of the generation. They should not go again thinking that there is some solution from some white man somewhere. White man has never gotten the interest of this continent. But like we said, all of them are devils. Let's look for the better devil.